Welcome to Artists in Residences, the Westport Library's virtual artist series. I'm Carol Erger-Fass, exhibit curator at the library. In today's episode, Miggs Burroughs talks with botanical artist Dick Rauh. Dick came to botanical painting after retiring from a 50-year career in motion picture special effects. He always loved to draw, especially trees, and what started with taking a class at the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens turned into a certificate course, which led to a master's degree, and eventually, at age 76, to a PhD in plant sciences, along with a full-blown second career as a botanical artist and teacher. Along the way, his larger-than-life studies have appeared in several scientific books, won numerous awards, and can be found in permanent collections all around the world. Now, let's join Miggs and Dick in his studio, where he'll show us how he coaxes out the inherent beauty in things we might not have ever even taken a second look at.
Well, thank you, Carol. It's a great pleasure to be able to talk to Dick Rauh. We've actually had a passing acquaintance with partially clothed in the pool at the YMCA. Dick is a very consistent swimmer there, exerciser, and we have passed in the halls occasionally. So I really admire your stick-to-itiveness, and I'm going to try to go more myself. But maybe I'm just curious, before we get into your artwork, you can tell us a little about the regimen at the Y. You know, how often you go and what you do and what it does for you.
Oh, okay. Well, I've been started going to the Y about 30, like you, 30 or 40 years ago. And at the beginning with my wife, and I played racquetball for a while, and then as my racquetball abilities kind of disappeared, I've been using the exercise. I don't swim actually.
Yeah.
And it's marvelous for me because I'm at an age now when it's very tough for me to get around on dry ground. But when I'm in the pool, that I'm supported by the gravity, and it really makes it possible. So I go until COVID came around. I went 6 days a week. And now I'm back, and it's a little much for me now, and I'm going every other day. But I go to 7 o'clock, 7:15 exercise class for an hour, and it really it keeps me flexible, let's say.
Yeah, it's very relaxing. No, I give you a lot of credit. I've been going twice a week now since they opened because I just want to take advantage of it. But yeah, that's great. So, and your age, do you mind telling us your age currently? I mean,
oh, not at all. Yeah. I'm 95.
Wow.
And I'm managing, except for in things like I'm very hard of hearing, even with hearing aids, and I do. It's rougher and rougher for me to get around. I use a cane or a walker, and I can get around in the house without anything, or on nice flat level ground. But otherwise, I've been keeping up as much as I can. I teach, and I've been doing a lot of painting, and it's exciting because now I know that this maybe doesn't apply, but in terms of age, in terms of being able to do something at my age, I think I feel, so blessed that I have the capabilities now, and I teach. I've been teaching at Senior Center drawing classes. I teach in Westport and Weston and Fairfield and Lifetime Learners, and it was going almost too much when the COVID came along and stopped everything. And now I'm going back, right. And I'll show you later, maybe at some point, how I managed to teach on Zoom, because I teach something called drawing flowers, and drawing really, I guess, is where I am mostly. I paint, but basically for me, I think you'll see when we get around to my work, that drawing is where I basically, where I find myself.
Well, that's great. No, well, you put the rest of us to shame. I mean, I'm 74, so anyway, I don't do a tenth of what you're doing. And you're writing a book, or you wrote a book, right?
Yeah, I wrote a book when I taught for 25 years, or teaching. I don't know whether I am still. I at the New York Botanical Garden, and I teach their required science class, and that's a whole. I mean, my retirement. I retired about 90. At age 65, and suddenly, well, before that, I had started going to the New York Botanical Garden, taking their class. They do a course in botanical illustration, and I got my certificate from the garden in '86, and then realized I started doing some work for the scientists there, and realized I didn't know anything. So I went back to school, and I got my master's in '97, I think, and I got my doctorate in plant sciences in 2001.
Wow, at the age of 76, right, or something.
And then I've been teaching ever since. I've been.
Okay, well, we should take a look. First, I should explain to the viewers that somebody didn't break into your house. That your son David is in the background. If you see another figure there, he's helping us out. And I thought we'd start off because David's going to be the cameraman for showing us things around. So maybe if I could send it to David, and we could start just take a general look around at the studio and see where see where you work. And yeah, okay. There you are. So now we're looking at you. Yeah, so we want to see some of the these are big. Now, these prints or are these originals?
These are originals.
Wow.
I've been painting a lot, because I can't go anywhere. So all of these, most of the things that you're going to see today were painted since March, since the COVID thing, because I haven't really been out much. And so they all need to be framed. But
they're amazing. Do you paint from life? I mean, do you bring samples in, or somebody brings you a live sample?
Yes, they do all the time. And okay,
yeah.
You want to go that way?
Sure.
Here we go.
Well, yeah. Give us.
Do you have? Well, look, all right. Here's what I was going to show you.
Sure.
Because basically, David, why don't you get back and see where I work? This is everything.
You do everything right in that corner. This is
where I work, no matter what I do. Now, here is my palette. I do watercolor.
Yeah.
I do watercolor or pen and ink or graphite, and I'll show you something new. I'm working on something called silver point, which is a very old kind of technique. And I'm not sure I love it yet because I don't get the darks I like. But I'll show you that whole process. But basically, this is my setup when I paint. I have my palette here. Here's where I keep my water. These are my brushes, which I'll be using. And then I work over here. Here's my palette over here. Now, and then of course, this is where I where I keep, so I know what my color is I'm using. Now, can you show them this?
Yeah, if you can get a little close into that. Yeah, it's beautiful. Unbelievable. I mean,
I just finished that one, and basically, here it is.
Incredible. Now, is that a day's? Everyone, the things our artists are always asked, and I apologize. But how long did it take you to do that? Is that a day's work, a week's work?
This one was a rough one,
yeah.
And how I work, I think, might be interesting. Can you see this? This is the subject.
Yes, perfect.
And this is about 15 times up in size. I do that for self-preservation, so I can see what I'm doing, basically. But I also do it because there are details here that I kind of want other people to see that you don't normally look at and see in nature. So a lot of the reason why so many my paintings are large is not only because it keeps me able to do them, but they also show certain qualities. I'll show you. I just finished a painting of an oak flower, and I'll show you that later on. But let's just stick with this just for a minute to show you how I do this. When I get Can you see?
Yeah, the you sketch on tracing paper?
That's tracing paper. And that's kind of where I work from where I've worked from. So the drawing is there. There's a preliminary, no, here it is. This is, I don't think you can see it. It's fairly fine. But this was my first attempt, first drawing. And then I cleaned that up and then traced it onto here. Now, this obviously, as you can see, the thing I'm working from, I'd go out of my mind.
Yeah, how do you see that?
It's phenomenal.
You're telling me.
Today with an iPhone camera.
Huh.
It's phenomenal. I take maybe 20 or 30 pictures of this, put it up on my computer screen, and if it's really good and sharp, which very often it is, I can move in more. I have a microscope over here. David, can you see that? This is a microscope that I have that I've been using in the past.
Oh wow.
I don't need it.
You don't need with the iPhone.
Computer is enough for me, and that allows me to make it work. And so, but besides the fact, these are, can I be a pedant here? This is monarda. This is bee balm. This is what happens to bee balm when it goes to fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're seeing here are actually what we call the calyxes. The calyxes are part of the flower. They're usually, when you see, think of a rose, and a rose has that those green pieces at the base.
Sure.
That's the calyx. Well, mints, which bee balm is in the family, have those things, and they persist. The petals fall off. The petals go away, and what's left are this head of calyxes. And inside of those calyxes are the seeds.
Okay. Yep.
But what I love about and then of course the artist comes in.
Yeah.
And I look at this and I see it, and then look at the rhythms of the way that thing moves across.
Yeah. How much? Yeah, I was asking, how much creative license can you take? I mean, you want to be accurate and authentic, but
well, I a little bit, but not much. But I don't have to.
Yeah.
Nature is so magnificent that I really don't have to take a lot. Sometimes I do, but that's where I am.
Now, is that
where I love to be, because I find in nature the symmetry and order and design and rhythm and so forth, without having to imply a lot. But I think, of course, the artist is an editor.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at something and you pick out what you feel is the important thing. Can I move over here and
yeah, David can follow you. Yeah.
I just did this painting. I'll just roll over there. Okay, I'm gonna move over here. This is a painting of oak flowers. Now,
Okay.
the actual thing is, I don't have it. I freeze them for my classes because they're great teaching thing.
Yeah, you can talk right to David. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, they're only about, this is probably about 10 times, 5, I don't know. Did I say? I didn't say. Anyway.
It was tiny, like this big.
It only blooms maybe for 2 weeks. And when it's blooming, the squirrels are very efficient for me. And they cut them off and they fall down. So I go around collecting stuff off of my driveway. And this happened to be one of the ones that I did. Now, this stuff down here, those are the male flowers, the pollen bearers. Okay, and over here, see these right tiny little things in here?
Yeah.
Those are the female flowers.
Okay.
And of course, the fruit of an oak tree, is an acorn.
Acorn, right.
And these things, if you look at it, they become the acorn. The flower turns out to what's inside, and the nut kind of part of it, and what we call the involucre, the bottom part there, becomes the what do you call it? The oak.
So
the
top of the acorn.
No, the thing of the base of the nut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Part of the show.
But what I love, I love is at this stage, the leaves are just out, and so some of the leaves have downy hair on them. They're sort, and then they become this brilliant, light green. It's kind of shiny, and then as these things get more like this, these guys drop all their pollen, and these guys they begin to turn as that, and that's what where fruit is. Fruit comes from what we call the ovary of a pistil, which is part of and that's all that flower basically is a pistil with 3 styles, so the little things at the top.
Without getting too graphic, how do they get together? How does romance bloom there? How does one thing get to the other thing? Do the squirrels do it? The birds do it?
Okay. I love it. This is a female flower up here.
Yeah.
And it has these 3 what we call styles or stigmas coming out. Well, the stigmas are sticky. And in this case, this probably, as you can see, this is wind pollinated probably, because the flower itself doesn't have any petals, doesn't have any attractants or anything like that. So when these things begin to drop, and you can see some of the stamens, the anthers over in here, when they begin to drop,
that's nice.
Let release, I should say, their pollen flies in the air.
Oh, okay.
Pollen flies in the air, and it gets onto these sticky stigmas.
So we do it. It's really not to be. The birds or the bees don't have anything to do with pollinating.
Not in this case.
No, in that case, right?
No, but flowers. That's what flowers are about.
Yeah.
Now
you innovated, didn't you?
What am I doing here? I want to show you some other paintings.
Yeah, please.
Okay, do you mind?
No, please take it away. Whatever you.
Okay, here, let's see. Oh, this is interesting. And again, these are all original watercolors. That happens to be a pitcher plant. And basically, again, this is a leaf adaptation. And the leaf adaptation is where the pitcher is, where the insect goes inside. This is insectivorous. I painted this. I taught a class at the garden this happens to me all the time. I'll show you another one. So I when I teach, I have to study. I have to be a little bit smarter than my students.
One step ahead. Is that a native plant?
And bone up. And then of course I get excited. Look I mean, look at that thing.
The shapes, no, it's just phenomenal. But is that something you found in your backyard, or did somebody send that to you from another part of the country?
No, this one it came from Florida.
Okay.
I have a friend down there. Yeah, this is very specifically. This doesn't grow anywhere, and it grows basically. In fact, if conditions are too good, it won't grow.
Mm-hmm.
The whole reason for insectivorous plants is because they don't get enough nitrogen, enough food. So anyway, so that was done. Here's another one. Let's do. Okay. Can you maybe I can take these down? Yeah, great. Thanks, Dave.
It seems
this guy. This is a lichen, and this is actually there's two lichens here. This one here is a live one, and it's a foliose lichen. It kind of comes off, and you see these little things here.
Yeah.
Those are the reproductive organs of a lichen. This part down here, that's another lichen, but it's dead. On the same branch.
Okay. They're out of the dating pool, right?
So that's exciting. Here's another funny one. No, not the one over there. Okay. Oh. Now this is, you'll never have seen this stupid thing before.
No, that's, I've never seen anything like it. That is bizarre. What is that? Is that where?
You see it?
Yeah.
This is basically not native at all.
Oh.
This is an Indian, continent Indian plant. And they sell this as a dried flower, for dried flower arrangements. And my daughter-in-law, who is a floral
horticulturalist,
does these things for her clients and uses this kind of stuff. But I took one look at it, and I get absolutely fascinated by the whole the kind of this is this is a follicle. Yep. This is a kind of a dried fruit that splits open only on one side, and it reveals inside, of course, the seeds.
Yeah.
And for one thing, if you look closely, the seeds are kind of following a kind of a spiral pattern, which again is again another proof of the order in nature. It's so elegant, so beautiful. But what I get attached to, I love the contrast in textures as an artist.
Sure. And the colors.
So the color, the beautiful shallow yellow seeds with their, and then this kind of hairy stuff that kind of protects them.
Do the animals eat those? Are they fruits of any kind that the animals eat, or is that just not edible? Those little yellow kernels.
This is a fruit.
It is, okay.
It's just a dried fruit.
Yeah.
And that's as far as it goes. I mean, these are based where the seeds are, but the texture of the outside and the contrast, that's as an artist, that's where I belong.
So just to satisfy the audience's curiosity, my own, what is that, a day's work, a week's work, a month's work? I mean, what generally?
Probably about 3 or 4 weeks. Well, this is another one that got done. As I say, always, except for the Saracena, with all of these things were done since March.
Okay. Wow.
Well, pandemic work.
Yeah.
You work on several things at once, or do you have to complete something before you start a new one?
Most of the times I like to finish.
Yeah.
But as I say, they're all in different stages. I think this one, I had the drawing done, and I just didn't have the gumption to get to it until I finished the one of the oak thing.
Yeah.
And then I said, gee whiz, I got it. What's the sense of having this drawing and not doing anything? And of course, in terms of color is minimal here. Very, very light tones of brown. What's crazy is that everything I've shown you here is untypical of what I mostly do. Most of the stuff I do is brown because it's dried fruit. It's gone past theirs. Doesn't have to be tracked anything, and so I've been and I love brown.
Yeah.
So I think you may have some of my stuff that's brown, basically, or like some of the stuff I sent you to take a look at.
Yeah, we could quickly share some. We only have about 5 minutes left, but do you want me to share some on screen?
Okay, all right.
To see
the
what.
Other thing, of course, as what you've just said is, I've having worked at there we go. That's okay. I'm going to sit down.
Okay. Well, I'll click through these because we only have a few minutes.
That's my thesis flower. There's Sketchbook. A typical sketchbook of mine. You got two things there. But you can see the brown. The pine cones were in a show I made for a show a few years back at Bartram's Garden, and these are all pines. And this one, that one's in the Brooklyn Botanical Garden, Florilegium, which I belong to. The one with the red, that's in Kew Gardens is the original of that one now, in Shirley Sherwood. This guy here is I just toured the United States in a show on American natives. That's Jack in the Pulpit. Okay, now, you can all see that one.
Yeah.
That one belongs to the Westport collection, and it's in the Westport Senior Center, right over the fireplace.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. And that's witch hazel. That's the fruit of the witch hazel. Actually, you don't see the seeds because these black areas inside, the seeds have sometimes get propelled by gas. So when these things open up, the black seeds inside go flying, and this is what's left. But this is very recently done. Yeah, there you see that.
Well, let me skip through quickly because is this a wasp nest?
This guy. Are we ready to stop? Okay.
So, yeah.
I'm down. I'm back into my.
You're back, and we only have a couple minutes left. But it's a couple of quick.
I don't get out of my chair very much.
Now you innovated. So from what I've read, that nobody did large work like this, which seems silly because all the detail was fascinating. Nobody either bothered to look, and you were the first one to really expand the view. I
think so. In a lot of cases, yes. I think it's important because I think they're so fascinating. The architecture.
Sure.
As I say, I had a show at the Royal Horse Society in 2006, and they insist you have 9 paintings on a theme, and my 9 paintings were all of fruit, of dried fruits. And they were all this size, and they were only brown, and it was such fun sitting there watching people turn the corner and suddenly see these huge of stuff they threw in their compost all the time. But it was a wonderful experience. Yeah.
Well, it's a great you lead people to appreciate things that most of us, like you say, walk over or put in the compost and don't give us the sweep up from the driveway. And if you just spend a minute and look, I mean, nobody will appreciate them like you do. But it's a wonderful be able to see through your eye how you see the world, and these botanicals. So we're out of time. Unfortunately, it went by so fast. And I want to thank David for his camera work, his brilliant camera work. There he is. Thank you. And thanks so much, Dick. We've got a little bit more time left. Maybe you could show us what you're working on right now. It's a little different, and maybe some of your sketch class techniques, and we'll get a quick glimpse at that before we say goodbye.
Can you begin? It's all sort of like I'm just beginning to. Can you see it?
Yeah.
See, get more light on it.
And I will work that up. I've done a number of things now in this, and it's a little frustrating for me because it's hard to get a real dark, but it tarnishes as it ages, and it kind of begins to take on a kind of a darker color. But so that's one thing. The other thing I was going to show you is first of all, the book cover.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Wow. I'm working with a designer, and this is what I'm eventually going to do. Okay. And then the other thing was I wanted to show you how I set up my classes. And that's all this stuff over here. And what I do is I do demos I do a flower every session. And so I do demos of them. And can you see that?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, that's we just finished doing geraniums. So that's my rough. And then I started doing a little bit of color work. So that's the kind of thing. There's one where I did more rendering. But I do all this in front of their eyes. See how they're working.
Oh.
And it's been very rewarding. It's been great. And I think they enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I am so honored by being part of this whole thing. It's really very, very
well.
special.
We can thank Carol and the library for innovating this great series, and I'm honored to be a part of it. So and meet people like you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dick. I'm looking forward to your book. You'll have to send one to the library when it comes out. To see more of our Artists in Residences series, check out the library's YouTube page, Westport Pub Lib, and search for Artists in Residences. Thanks, and hope to see you back at the library soon.